This is the setup of the HWZ 250 continuous mixer. It's also the setup on any of our older equipment. What we're going to be doing today is setting the mixer up with the bin feeder, the automatic feed system, so that it can automatically feed our mixer with its product. To begin with, get your mixer set up in the plumbing area and everything. The mixer comes from the factory preset on a 1-degree lean to the PC pump outlet, and that's to allow water flow and high energy mixing so that the water drains out of the mix tube when shut down, and it helps product flow downhill. So you want the machine setting on about a 1 degree. Do not level the feet up. They are preset at the factory for this lean. So your mixer's all set in place. You're ready to bring your bin feeder in to set it down. At that point, we will come around and new 250's electrical system is the most up-to-date units we can purchase at this time. All of the 250's units are AC inverter driven, so you have complete control over your dry feed, water feed, your progressive cavity pump, and your water pump for your supply to the water. Naturally, the e-stop, you also have your low-level water in case your water drops down below a level in the reservoir. It will alarm you that you are running out of water. It also offers the 3-way toggle switch, which gives you 3 recipes. You can set up anything you want, and by a flip of a switch, you can go from 3 gallons to 6 gallons to 12 gallons on your slurry output, and it's all held inside the inverter on a pre-program. The mixer offers no fuses or anything like that. Everything is circuit breaker driven. The whole machine is controlled by 3 relays to your pendant, which controls the mixer for its start, stop, washout, and other applications. It offers a vibrator to the hopper with a vibrator control. These are offered to whatever voltage unit you offer. We offer these in 208, 350, 480, up to 525. We get that information from you, and the unit is all set up to meet your needs at your factory. The mixer also offers the plug-in from the Vindicator control to your feeding system, whether it be one of our 16V bin feeders or your bulk system for turning the system off and on as the level drops in the feed hopper. Also, we offer a 110 plug-in for any type of add systems, whether you're using retarder, a die, any other type of system that you're adding. This will automatically turn that system off and on when you hit your slurry production button on the mixer. The tooling you'll need to work on your 250 mixers or any of the Mason Flow equipment is simple. A set of American SA wrenches. You'll need an 18-inch pipe wrench for working on your moino, dead blow hammer for removing and installing the mix tubes and the screws. I recommend an adjustable wrench, a small pry bar, and a set of American SA Allen wrenches for loosening the set screws and everything on all the bearings of the mixer. This is the tooling you'll need to work on it. For the testing, objects you'll need are for doing dry testing on your mixer to check the dry when you run it. You need a scale capable of about 100 pounds to weigh your tests as you're running them. Then for your basic slurry testing, that HWZ recommends doing cup tests on pours We recommend an 8-ounce cup, but you can utilize a stainless container or anything, or the plastic type cups. And then you'll need a gram scale so you can weigh these tests at the time you're going. To come up with your test, you will take and weigh out the exact perfect mix you want, put it in your test cup size that you're going to use. You'll be freeing the top of that cup off, checking for set time in that. Then you simply just take your scale and put the cup on it. That weight, you'll have the range, what you're looking for from your setup test cup, the weight of that cup. So all the man has to do is when he's pouring, do that, set it on. He knows whether he's too heavy, too light, and what adjustments need to be made. To move the 16B vent feeders into position, we generally use a tow motor or some type of lift. The unit weighs approximately 1,100 pounds empty, and so you want to make sure you have enough to lift it with. You want to come under, lift the mixer from the frame, under here, under the steel frame, bringing the forks through the frame until they stick out on this side about 3 inches. You do not want the forks to extend too far, because when you bring the unit in, you'll run into the mixer itself. So about 3 inches through is the most you want your forks. At this time, we're going to go ahead and bring the vent feeder in. As you set the unit down, it will have a tendency of moving backwards a little bit, so allow for that. You want it to line up so that this pipe goes straight into your rubber coupling and produce a dust-free seal, both at the mixer and at the vent feeder lip tube knob. Side shift right. Right there, we look like we're pretty well lined up. We're going to go ahead, drop the unit down, watching the spacing between the machines. Should end up about 1 inch at the machine when the unit comes down. So at this point, we want to go ahead, come down slowly. Set down, we have about 3/4 to 1 inch gap here in the middle, which will clear that. This older vent feeder, if you own one of our new 16Bs, you'll notice you have none of this drive. This has been removed on the new ones, and everything is direct drive gearboxes, both on the top and on the lower, so you have no jack shafts or chains. But the unit can be used with the old vent feeders or the new ones. It'll line up on both series. You want the unit to be square with the machine, and once you're set, then you're ready to connect your lift screw tube to the mixer at that time. To install the tube, we take, after getting alignment, slide the tube till it matches up into the snout of that. Then bring your clamp up and clamp the tube in place. And this will make a dust-free seal. On the unit, there's a blue line or a black line. There's a cutout on the pipe, which you've seen in the other picture. You want that cutout facing your vindicator, which is the switch for turning the plaster off and on for the hopper height. And that'll turn the 16B vent feeder off and on. Okay. The same as doing the water test for checking your water output. To set up to do the dry output, you want to shut the systems down that you don't need to drive this system. To do the dry test, you need your dry feed and your mix screw for dispensing it. And so at that, you take your water pump, lower the hertz to 0 so that it does not operate. Come over to your PC pump because we're not making slurry, and turn the PC pump to 0. Now these two systems will not operate. The only thing that's going to operate is your mix screw and your dry feed itself. Now, to finish the test, remove your funnel. Then we recommend either putting a rag over the whole system, or in this case we're going to use a piece of cardboard to cover the pump in that so that we don't get any dry material in our pump. Then we come over with your scale that's capable of weighing the amount that you need. You want to tar whatever small unit you're using to put underneath there to catch your dry material. In this case we use a small, about 10-inch container, which will fit underneath your screw right here. Then, just like in water, you'll need your stopwatch, the time, how long you're going to run the test, whether it be 10, 30, or 1 minute to get your outputs. In this situation, we're going to run a 30-second test, which you'll multiply that times 2 to get your weight of material that you're putting out per minute. At that point, what you do is start the first one, which is going to start your dispensing screw without the water that we shut off in the PC pump. Then hit your feed start button the same time you hit your stopwatch. At this time, the mixer will start dispensing. Seconds. Hit your stop feed button. Let the material finish feeding. Stop your dispensing screw. Then weigh this on your scale to get the pounds per 30 seconds. In this case, we're just about 35.36 pounds. So you would double that, so you'd have about 70 3/4 pounds of plaster per minute is what the mixer is dispensing. And to stop your dry test, you just reverse everything, reinstall your pump, reset your water, your PC pump back to their original hertz settings, and you are complete with your dry test. Thank you. To do your testing on the 250 mixer for your wet test, for your water test, and also for your dry testing, to set up to do those, you want to come over to your inverter for it. If you're doing a water test, just take and using the arrow keys, drop the dry feed down to 0 so that it's not operating. The only thing that will be operating when you hit your buttons to start your test is the water pump. And then to do the water test, it's as simple as coming on over. You will press your start button if your mixer's set up for running automatic washout. You just need to hit your first one. If you're set up for off and on feed, you'll hit your second one after hitting your first one with the washout water to get water through your hose, because you always want to make sure your hose is wet before you pump anything through it. So to do this water test, all we need to do is hit the first start button. At that time, it's running the metered water at your hertz setting. Come on over using a gallon jug, a 5-gallon bucket. This way we're going to use a stopwatch and a 1-gallon jug to get our water output. At this, they can start your stopwatch when you're filling your bucket till it gets to the gallon and hit stop. Now you can write down that. You might want to run this test 3 times and use the mean number because you might hit the watch a little different, and that'll give you your gallons per minute. Again, just take your hose, start the stopwatch, and hit the stop on the stopwatch when you get to a gallon, and record that time, which will give you your gallons per minute. Then shut the system down. And you can record that. If you don't want to go by a time method, you can use a larger vessel and actually weigh it and put it on a scale and weigh how much water you have in that amount of seconds and do your multiplications, and it'll give you gallons or liters per minute. To operate the 250 mixer for your slurry outputs and that, the first thing you want to do, turn your power on to the equipment, make sure that your incoming water is turned on and you have water pressure to the unit. Then you want to make sure that you start the blender in your feed system. If you're using an automatic feed system or a silo, make sure that it is turned on so that the vindicator can keep the hopper full. And to do that, you can turn on the blender, whether it be there or on the push button. It runs continuous so that it feeds the screws in the hopper on the machine. So your blender is running. To produce your slurry now, your operator just takes and presses the first start button. You'll, at this time, it is going to produce the water and the screw and the pumps running. You watch until you start having water at your pouring pitcher. Then you take and press your feed start. This starts your slurry production. When you have good slurry production at your pouring pitcher, he's now ready to start pouring, where he'll lift up pitcher up, which gives you enough reservoir to go to your first mold and start pouring your mold. When he gets ready to stop and play the mold, raise your pitcher, go to washout, press stop feed, and this time the machine will automatically start washing out. We recommend that the mixer has a washout hose to help you rinse the funnel of any slurry built up there. And when you have clean water at your pouring pitcher, that means your hose is cleared in that. You then press the final stop button on the top, which shuts down your production till you're ready to pour again. This is the operation of the 250 mixer making slurry.